In the previous lecture, you mentioned the 2008 economic crisis, and one of the very interesting themes that's emerged at many levels, be it universities or economic policy, is this perceived culture war, specifically the idea of Marx versus Mill. And you've criticized postmodern and neo-Marxist thought very frequently. One interesting critic of the policies of the EU, specifically the ECB and IMF, during the Greek debt crisis, was Yanis Varoufakis, the former Greek finance minister. And his criticism of Mill was Mill's alleged contempt for the population, and Varoufakis comments on the type of capitalism that results in too big to fail. He describes himself as an erratic Marxist. To me personally, he's an example of someone whose position on the philosophical mooring of policy is interesting to compare and contrast with yours. He's certainly not your typical Marxist or postmodernist, even though I'm not really sure what that means, but if you look at his work during the Greek debt crisis and his current work with DiEM25, he seems to be well-reasoned, well-positioned, and articulate. Now, I wanted to know if you had an opinion on that type of criticism of Mill, or his taking of a position as an erratic Marxist.
Okay, I would say no to the specifics of the question. I don't think that I have the detailed expertise in order to answer the question at the level of analysis that where you formulated it. But I have something to say that's more general about the set of phenomena that you described. There's no doubt that distribution is a major problem, that capitalism contends with imperfectly at best. And the distribution problem is the Pareto distribution problem, right? And something that Marx commented on, which mostly in the monetary sphere, is that money tends to accumulate in the hands of very few people. It's like, there's no doubt about that. Now, as we've discussed before, the people in whom hands the money accumulates do turn over more than people think, especially in countries that are functioning reasonably well. And it's really important that that happens. Yes. But that doesn't solve the problem of the fact that produced goods gravitate towards an extreme minority. Now, they're also produced often by extreme minority, which is also a problem. I would say then that the idea that capitalism is more prone to that distribution problem than any other system, I don't believe that to have been demonstrated at all. And I think that capitalism is actually pretty good at self-destruction, except when that's interfered with. And I think that's particularly the case in the United States, where generally the policy has been, if you're an idol with feet of clay, no matter how big you are, you get to fail. Now, that's been compromised severely in the last 20 years. And we're probably going to pay for that. I think they really paid for that in Japan, right? Where there was every attempt to prop out the gods that should have died. So fair enough for the critique of capitalism. That's not the issue. The issue is, do you have a better idea? And if the idea is, well, we could kind of do what Marx suggested, then you don't get to have that position and claim, what should I say? I haven't seen any evidence that systems predicated on that set of axioms have done anything but more harm than good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And when will you be announcing the monthly extension to this lecture series?
As soon as I find out whether or not I can rent this theater in the fall. Yeah. Thank you. We'll see you next week.